Cavecast, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds.
After going through the first podcast that we've done of this series, which was last week, and I don't know about you, but there was a big part of me that it was just kind of like, man, like it flew by. It was like an out of body experience, which I kind of said about their lyrics, but like having that experience of being able just to dive in and geek out about it was so much fun. And so many of you showed up to it and and had so many interesting things to say. There was a gentleman that did a video response to things. And it was just, everybody is engaged in conversation and everybody's just having a great time. Like there wasn't any shitty people or anything.
No.
The fan base of Sleep Token just loves this band. Like they are just so dedicated, and it's wonderful, man. Like they've held them so close to their hearts, and you can tell. And that's the first thing that we wanted to do was to just say thank you to everybody for just showing up to that. We had such a great time, and we've got a few episodes left that we're gonna do.
Yes, absolutely.
So tonight we are gonna go through Sundowning. Much like how we did the first like EPs and things, but a little bit of housekeeping is that I do have some work stuff that's going to be happening here pretty soon that I will have to be leaving the state and be gone from like the 2nd to the 6th. So we are working on making sure that there's a consistent show for you guys. Like Riker, we've got that down. Like reactions are not going to stop. We at one point did 6 reactions or 7 reactions a week and worked around when I would travel.
In one day period to record.
I don't know how we did it, but nevertheless, is that we want to assure you guys is that if there is at any point there's not an episode for the week or something, or maybe something else comes out that's not Sleep Token, rest assured we're finishing this.
Yes.
It's got to get past the 6th of April, and then we'll be good. So
we know people will ask and be like, "Why are you those coming every week?" yeah. But life
happens, and this happens every year.
Yeah.
It's something that you and I have we've been in the trenches much deeper than we have ever, we've been in the trenches deep before. Now it's kind of like we'll just figure it out and we'll get it done. So
this will be like what, year 3?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're I've been doing YouTube. Yeah,
we're pulling up on like 3.5 years, if you will, because I believe it'll be this winter. Yeah, it will be 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty wild that we've had to do this. 3 different times and prep for it. So now that it's not that it's easy, but it's easier, and we just know how to deal with it. So yeah. But either way, like he said, guys, we will get the stuff out to you. So I say we go ahead and just get started, because I'm excited.
Yeah, this is. I first want to say this is that self-admittedly is that Sundowning in recent history of us listening to Sleep Token has actually been the album that I've listened to the least. As far as their main albums are concerned.
I will say that.
Yeah, and it's one of those that I find that really the only time that I was listening to it in its entirety, or I would come back to it, was to listen to like Dark Signs or listen to Give or Higher. Like there's just some really awesome songs on there. But my routine throughout the summer and the spring is that I mow the lawn and I start my day early doing yard work. I start with Sundowning, and by the time that Eden's over, I know it's dinner time. So it's like that's kind of become my process. So I've had a little more exposure in that time to be able to dive into it and have some fun with it. And just to know that this can either be the beginning of the story, depending on how deep that you dive into them, or this is just the next chapter of what's been going on in the music. And what I want to know from you first is that, because I know we did listen to it, we listened to everything. We did a full breakdown day of writing stuff down, but like when you think of Sundowning, when it comes to Sleep Token, like how did the album hit you? Like it's like when you did revisit it, what would you revisit and listen to?
So actually what I would visit and re-listen to is like Higher, Dark Signs, The Offering.
Oh God, yeah, the drums.
So, but Chokehold. I mean, sorry, not Chokehold. But sorry, that's just one that I like to listen to. But what I was making notes as far as like the album itself is, I actually put at the beginning here, like you were saying, where you depending on even where you come in, but she's evil.
Yeah,
she is evil, and it's the fact that the first song on here isn't exactly a lot of lyrics. It doesn't need to be. It's a lot of repeating, but it's for a reason. And so that's how it kind of hit me, was that this is this album is kind of that, I don't want to say lead into the fact of the narcissism and things like that, but it's kind of like, well, like you said, kind of like where it starts if you want to go by albums. So it kind of does a good job of being like, well, you can start from here and still figure out the story.
Right, right.
So I think that that's what's cool about Sleep Token is that you can go back further and have all that, or you can kind of come in right here and understand it.
Right.
So I do enjoy that. But yeah, She's Evil.
Yeah, and I think that it's such an interesting name to have, Sundowning.
Yeah.
And as there is, there's so much symbolism when it comes to nighttime and like when it comes to sleeping and dreaming and, not wanting to wake up and all these things, is that, well, what is sundowning? It's when a dementia patient, when they get worse throughout the day, is that the night is really bad for them because that's when they get lost. It's when they're disoriented. It's when it flares up really, really bad. And especially with the first song being called "The Night Does Not Belong to God."
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that is not to get too visceral, but the idea of that, as George Carlin said it, where he's like, look, we don't want to die. We don't want to get older, but we do. One day, us or our friends or one person out of our entire group of people we have known in our entire lives will suffer from dementia or we'll go through something like that. And for Vessel to make that the crux of the first album is just, it's terrifying. And it's this idea of like, oh my God, like, no, like the night belongs to her. Like the night belongs to this deity. It belongs to a narcissist. It doesn't belong to God. There is no hope. And that's something that over time, as I would listen to it, it was just something that always stuck out to me, is that I always had this mentality of like, man, like this starts off awful. And as you said,
Right.
She's evil.
Right.
And it's, to me, I think that looking at the notes, at least that I made for the first group of verse right here, where it says, when you live by daylight with angels at your side, in order now bestowed by the light of the sunrise, is that a legion protects him during the day. There's this idea of that in the daytime, he's not near her, or maybe he's thinking about her, maybe he's yearning for her, but there is a protection. There is something that happens to that. But when the night comes, it's almost like they scatter and they go away. And I thought that was a very interesting way to start it, is that, no, it's like the angels, like he references a heavenly being.
Right.
Whereas we don't really know what sleep would be, like really if it's, a pagan god or is a demon, or is like something that's dark, like not as dark, but still is darker, has malicious intent. Like it's wild that that's the first thing that we're given here, is that it's not a labyrinth in this bed. It's the fact that it's like, no, when you live by daylight with angels at your side.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Again, how he chooses to not even just start albums, but start songs verbally and lyrically, like the verbiage that he even uses is something that I've always, it took me a second, but I'm always like, God damn, this dude, it's always like right off the rip. There's something there. And again, I don't mean a riddle per se, but like it's always in this like riddle-ish style of like lyrics and talking.
Well, even like the single we got for House of Viridian, where it's like, no, I mean, Emergence like is a puzzle immediately.
Right.
Like, so, yeah.
Right. But I think that the thing that comes down to not only in Sundowning, like you said, how it even starts off, but like going on to that She's Evil, when he says, the whites of your eyes turns black in the low light.
Yeah.
Dude, and I mean, he follows everything up with that whole sentence there, but it's the fact that he knows she's not his. I feel like, and that she's also like, he can kind of tell she's evil as well, because he's seeing you see the switch.
It's only from when the black goes, they turn black in the low light. Well, the light has to be dim, so clearly beforehand they were white or they were normal.
Right.
I think for me, it's the symbolism of that. We kind of touched on it with the EPs and everything, but it's that whole thing of like, we don't know who's coming to dinner. We don't know what's going to happen tonight,
Correct.
But I can guarantee you that they're going to be bummed out, so yeah.
Exactly. Because like I said, he follows up with everything about like, tangling endlessly and lovers entwined. I know for the last time you will not be mine.
And isn't it interesting that that's the last line of Euclid?
Right. And then again, like how it almost kind of, like I said, and the repeating, like there is enough repeating through Sleep Token, but it's not corny and not because he doesn't have anything to say. There is, listen to how the songs sound as well. Like there is no accident. We say that all the time with Sleep Token and sounds and lyrics.
Yeah.
So I think that the fact of starting off that, like, knowing that she's evil, seeing that switch, if you will, like with the eyes, but then also knowing that she's not yours.
See, this is something interesting of the fact that we know that where he ends up in Euclid is that, like the which we're going to dive into it when we do, but like, the lyrics of, I must be something or someone new, I'm like, this is, I've made like a difference in my mentality. I've grown. I think I've learned from this. Like, there's like clearly with Emergence, it's like, like, did he, or is that a call to fight? But in the same hand is that it's like, man, like in the beginning, you knew that she wasn't going to be yours, man.
Right.
And we go through the entirety of Sundowning of that. He's just diving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's this void. It's this quicksand that just will not let go of him. And isn't it ironic that the night does not belong to God, that it actually has some of the cheeriest melody in the beginning with like I don't know if it's like harmonics or like the synths that are being used, but dude, it's gorgeous. Like this is already kind of giving, in my opinion, I think it's the fact that it's like, nah, man, he completely honed into, I wouldn't say he maybe did this exact band, but dude, this is elevation worship. This is elevation worship with heavy gent guitars.
I get you.
And I think it's that fact of that. It's like, nah, man, because he is worshiping this deity. Like if you've not heard anything from Elevation or Hillsong, listen to them, especially when you re-listen to Levitate and listen to some of their very praisey worship songs. It's like, this is basically what this is. This guy's a genius. He took worship music or the concept of worship and made it his own. But yeah, it's just it's nuts, man. He knew in the beginning that she's not his, but like my kind of crux of everything, the way that I kind of felt with this was that it's kind of that, no, one more time.
That's one more time. And then I think the fact of the night comes down like heaven, all that repeating, I think that's almost like she agrees. She's agreeing like, okay, because when the night comes down like heaven, like I almost borderline don't know how to interpret that, because it's like, is the night supposed to be good and it's coming down because it's heavenly, or is it is this evilness coming down but looks beautiful?
Well, I think that it might be a line of like almost like deception, where it's like the night comes down like heaven, but it's not. But now he never finishes that statement to say that, but it's interesting that he doesn't say that it is. And I know this is a very controversial ground to kind of tiptoe over, but the way that I've always kind of looked at, for instance, like when you read prophetic scripture, when you look at like the book of Revelation or things, is that like when people try to interpret it of like, oh no, the war of the horsemen is symbolism, it means this. It's like, no, in my opinion is that I interpret things literally. So if John says I saw a rider on a horse and his name was War, it's kind of like, all right, well, he saw that. Yeah. So for me, like, not saying that this is equated to scripture, but like that's kind of how I look at how people talk and what they say. So for him to say that it comes down like heaven, I think that there's a lot there. It very well could not be what my interpretation is, but it's not clear though. And I like that. I love the ambiguity so much,
I do too. And that's what I'm saying, is that like, it's almost like a riddle, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I'm wrong about plenty of things in this, but it can be like, well, no, can you not see how I'm taking that for that reason or whatever? But
sure.
Or again, like we've said before, maybe he does have that like approach to it, to where it's like, no, man, you can kind of take this however you want in a sense.
Yeah.
If he's just that good of a lyricist and a writer, which he clearly is,
he can't be stopped, man.
Yeah. So I mean, like, again, guys, this is just, we'll repeat this a lot too. This is just our take and our thoughts. So again, feel free to comment on like going off of what we say and or what your thoughts are. But
yeah, especially like guys, like we welcome video responses. Like it's just the only thing we ask is just be kind and be civil. That's all. That's all we ask. Which we know certain people won't, but still, we'll just put it out there. But as we move on to the offering, this is really where we start to we start to get a lot of the mouth symbolism, the biting, like,
Yes.
these different things that come up in Vessel's lyrics that, there's been so many times, even on Eden alone, that when we were reacting to it for the first time, we're like, what is his obsession with biting? Like what, where does this come from?
Right.
Like, is this a fetish thing? Like, is this a, is it a display of dominance? Is it a, like, I don't know, like a loving thing, but then turned evil, I mean, 'cause there's like that thing, like when you're with your partner where it's kind of that, like, like either like jokingly bite them or something like that, where it's like, no, like now I'm angry.
Yeah.
Right. Who knows? But,
Right.
something that I want to correct myself on from our first reaction of the offering is that I think that the lyrics that we read said, and you are a goddess entwined with all.
No, it's garden. Yeah.
And coming back to this, that immediately what came to my mind was Fall For Me, which was with my love as your garden. He's saying here, no, you are a garden.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost kind of like, well, what do you do with a garden? You take care of it.
Correct.
He's trying to trying to nurture her. He's trying to cater to her. He's trying, like, I mean, there's many ways you could probably take that, but it's very interesting that when we get into one of their more impactful songs that he uses that symbolism again, even if it's in a different way, he's using the same word,
I think I think the biting a lot comes in, like some of the symbolism I was thinking about comes in this song with the fact of we'll get to it, but he says something about the whole like you've got diamonds for teeth, and the fact of
got diamonds for teeth, my love, yeah,
right,
yeah.
and it's like because it's pretty, diamonds are pretty, right?
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's like, ooh, something shiny, but it's going to hurt you.
It's razor sharp.
Yeah, and it's the fact that like you can either hurt me with this or it can be beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think that it kind of goes in that same mentality of Jaws, where like the whole predator thing, where it's the fact of show me those pretty white jaws. Well, like when I think of Jaws, not just because of the name and a shark, but like that's what I think of. As a predator, you see are you smiling at me or are you aggressive with me?
Well, especially because he didn't use any other words to describe her mouth and teeth, where it's like, no, like I can't take that any other way besides you're a predator.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But in the offering, I feel like the very beginning, like that whole verse is he's still in love with her. And it's almost like, please, let's just keep writing this chapter.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can make this work. And guys, we'll probably repeat a lot too, but like I feel like this happens kind of a lot to Vessel.
It's the cycle.
It's the
unending cycle. Yeah.
And that's unfortunately something we know all too well as well. But yeah. I think that, yes, you're right. Like in the fact of some of this like actual biting and things like that, but it's very much symbolism. But I think also in the fact of like, you just keep taking from me. Yeah. You just keep taking bites out because how he says it, just take a bite when he whispers it. It's almost like he's inviting it,
but he's bracing himself.
Correct.
Yeah. This song is really, it's in my opinion, is devastating because it's, but for him saying this is a giving and offering in your favor, a sacrifice in your name, but you've got a taste, so just take a bite of me, turn the page once again. Like, this is him saying, like, it's like, no, this is my gift, but I'm enough, aren't I? Like, it's like
I'll give you the world.
I'll do everything I can to give you things, but it's like, but like me, like alone, like I'm enough, right? Like that's like,
yeah.
It's honestly like one of the things that Crystal and I joke about all the time is that, but we mean it, is that it's like, it's like I love you no matter what. Like that's like one of our things. And then it's I stole it from me, myself, and Irene. But it's like even if we are, what was it? He says we're stranded on Antarctica and have to live off whale blubber. It's like it's like even with whale blubber, and that's because at that point you don't have anything else. You have each other, and
right.
and that's the fact that with Vessel's perspective here, like it's just like. He knows that he needs to worship her to do the right thing in her mind, but even then I'm sure that the worship that he's doing is not good enough. But it's the fact of that, like, this is an offering. Like I'm giving you everything, the notes that I put together, the drums that I painstakingly did until my fingers bled, like it's just, the song is intense. And moving on to Give In Again and Let Me Lay My Arms Belong Around You, is that it's like, no, he needs her. Like, it's like this is a full-on addiction, hence the cycle.
Right. And I would say, even to back that up, where it was the fact of, like, I'll give you the world, but it's like, you don't care though.
Mm-hmm.
So just take another bite, take another piece of me.
Yeah.
So to kind of go into what you were saying, where it's like, yeah, it's just like that cycle, and it's almost one of those, like you said, it hurts, but like at least you'll enjoy it, and that makes me enjoy it.
Well, I think
type
it's
thing.
Isn't it weird where it's like, I mean, I know, like, for me, where it's, you know, when you're in bad situations where, you know, sometimes where it's like, no, I don't like you right now, but I still want a hug. Like, it's like that type of thing where it's like, you still want that physical affection. Like, that's a lot of old, you know, news for us and everything. I'm like feeling like that, but it's just like, man, like it's not even a hug. It's something that will rip you apart. It's something that will leave a mark. It's something that will leave a scar. It's something that will, you know, puncture you. Like, it's just, The Offering is such an interesting song, just because it's, in certain ways, I would say that it's one of my favorites off of Sundowning. No, the more that I've listened to it.
Same.
Mainly because we just get to hear two go the fuck off.
Yeah.
But in the same hand is that it's, to me, is that as much as The Night Does Not Belong to God, like, starts us off, The Offering sets the tone of this album. Like, it's like, this is the groove that you better get used to. This is the feeling of like what it's going to be like to get through this album. And I don't know, it's but as far as that one, did you have anything else on your mind at all? I don't know if you had any more notes or anything.
No, what's funny is I don't even really have any notes on Levitate, but other than one, but I think it's just because it might have almost be the entire thing, just coming off of The Offering again, the fact of, I'm doing more than I know I'm doing more than I should for you.
Yeah.
And then starting off with Levitate, I can lift you up immediately. First words out of his mouth.
I'll do anything. I'm on it. Yeah.
First words out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And then your body is mostly blood. What the fuck, man? Like, again, this dude he astounds me time and time again. But again, like, it's almost like it goes in that thing where he almost should have a, quote, parental advisory on his lyrics, not because he says fuck a few times, but it's because he talks about very adult things.
See, that's especially because going to the next line of him saying, like, water, a perfect flood engulfing me again. Like, I'm not trying to be this way, and it's the only thing I can think of is from Keith and Joe Santagato, where he was like, now, and he went, blood sex.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's funny, but in the same hand is that it's like, nah, man, like, if there's blood in sacrifice and in worship, where it's like, and the irony is that she is made of blood, and it's her engulfing him. Again, that also could be completely symbolic, but your body is mostly blood. It is a statement. It is something where it's like, nah, man, like, instead of water being her makeup and her deity body, it's like, no, she is almost pure blood.
Right.
And that's weird. It's like something that could kind of make sense, but doesn't, you know?
Right. And that's what I mean. I don't mean that Sleep Token needs to be censored. I listened to another gentleman, rapper named K Reno, and he doesn't really swear a whole lot, but he always puts a parental advisory over his stuff because he talks about very adult things.
Yeah.
And I think it's just more sort of like, maybe like parents know or whatever, but either way, so guys, I don't want you guys coming for me in the comments. That's what I meant. But it's just the fact that, yes, he does talk about very adult things. And then what always caught my ear, and even catching my eye right now, is that, and I can tell you won't remember my cracking bones.
Yeah. You don't remember my pain.
Exactly. Or it's like, you don't care.
Yeah.
You don't care. This is borderline. This is fun for you. So you don't give a shit, and even if it's not a game for you, you like, yeah, you won't remember because you don't care, and it's very much, that's very present in the relationship.
Yeah,
I think that even with a line like that shows, again, Vessel already knows the, I don't even know what to call it, deity, the demon, the thing, the succubus, whatever it is already this huge problem and monster, almost, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, why is it so beautiful to you? Why is it, don't touch the stove, Don't touch the stove. Fuck it, touch the stove.
Fucking lick
They
it.
fucking lick it. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like that. And it's like, like, what is it that is keeping you coming back like this, man? It's not love.
No. Well, I think that I could argue that it's like he loves her.
Right. No, I
it's
get that.
Nothing that he's getting back though. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like when I'm saying like, it's not love. It's not love from her.
Yeah.
This is all status and convenience.
Yeah.
On the other end, it's like those people, like I had somebody like that in my life too, where they was always talking about getting married and stuff. I'm like, you don't want to be married. You want the status of being married.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't actually, you want the ring. You want the story. You want the party.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
So you're not in any way prepared for the life.
Correct.
Yeah.
You ain't about that life.
Right. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, so that's pretty much what I had with Levitate.
Well, I think that it's again, like going back to that Hillsong Elevation Worship, like Levitate is like borderline, like I almost kind of want to listen through their music or all of worship music to figure out what chord progression that Vessel used, like look at his and go, all right, like which one matches with it. Cause like, dude, the vibe that Levitate gives is that it's very much like when you think about worship music is that it's like, you know, Lord, like we lift you up, you know, or like those types of things where it's like, it's the complete inverse is that it's like, will you levitate up where the angels inhabit? Will you levitate where I won't reach you? This isn't, Lord, let me lift you up and like, you know, put you above others. It's no, will you levitate and run away from me?
Right.
Are you going to, but
once you get to a certain point,
but he's worshiping. And this is the thing that blows my mind so much about it is that like, and I hate to say it like this because it makes it sound like it's bad, but like kind of what I said like in the first episode is that it's corrupt worship. It's not Christian worship.
Yeah. Oh, right.
You know, it's sleep token worship, and corrupt is not a bad thing. It's just that it's the fact that it's like you can't look at their music and tell me that this is a good thing. Like that this is a good thing that he's going through. Otherwise, we wouldn't weep to his lyrics. You know? So like, but especially like when you were talking about, you know, getting no love is that, you know, when we get into deeper into the song and he's like, and is that all you need to merely pretend to be falling in love with me, forgetting the agony again? Like it's like, do you understand that what faking this does to me? Like it's like you said, you know, you don't give a fuck about me,
right?
And it's just. And especially getting up to where my love doesn't matter is that in her home she's careless. It doesn't matter. So he's the plaything.
Exactly.
This is the interesting thing of thinking about where it's like, man, like if I could understand how Sleep's mind works or how this deity or how this woman's mind works, where it's like how the fuck can someone be like that? But we know people like that. We've experienced people like that. We've been way too close to people that have affected our lives in that way. And
I feel like
that's what makes it almost like the mirror that you don't want to look at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like Levitate almost, because that was my one and only comment here was almost like we're both in lust again. Is this song where he knows the situation, like you said, above where I can't reach and touch you anymore. And I'll take that. Yeah. So it's almost like they both are kind of getting what they want to a point.
Yeah.
So like he's willing to take the sacrifice of the cracking bones of this and that and not being able to reach her. But I think that the reaching and like you were saying can be metaphorically and then also in the fact of like I can't get a hold of you.
Yeah.
You're ignoring me or you leave me on red, whatever it might be, type of thing almost.
The cone is silent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but I just think that Levitate is not one that I have gone back to a lot. I will admit.
Same.
But again, it kind of still also falls in a little bit of that repeating. And that's where, like I was stating earlier, that the repeating that doesn't get old is shocking for me because that shit pisses me off when it comes to songs.
Yeah. It's
usually.
Well, I think it's the fact that he actually can set a vibe the way it should, but it's
100%.
But it's also worship.
Yeah,
so it's
right.
It's weird, you know. Yeah.
But like I think that's a correct way of putting it, is that he brings a correct vibe when when doing something like that. It's not corny or for lack of a better word, repetitive. But but yes. So I think that's where having songs like this, it does have its place.
Yeah, man. Well, the crowd favorite, when you talk to a Sleep Token fan, I think it's very safe to assume that Dark Signs is at least on a top 10 list of their favorite songs, if not one of their favorite songs off of Sundowning. Dude, this one, number one, like there are, I'm going to tread very carefully here. Is this song gives windows into multiple things. Of that, if you pay attention to the internet, if you pay attention to different things where you're like, okay, I see inspiration here. I kind of get like, why this is a thing. I wrote the note down, which I'll show you, but I can't like tell the audience, but it's like, okay, like this one. Yeah. This is one that I think means a lot.
Oh yeah.
And it's, and I think it's because like there is so much that happens in this, especially because I think I can't remember if you made this note and then I wrote with them. We both wrote it down, or if I was the one that did it. But this is essentially his post-nut clarity. This is his moment of realizing where it's like, no, I saw the dark signs. I've seen all of the red flags.
Exactly, because I put that too. I forget. I think I think it was you, but it was in the fact of like after lust, another realization. It was all bad at the beginning.
Shame. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We're in again the start off this whole first verse. I almost take that in the fact of being raised where there was no street lights, so it's just pitch black and passing headlights.
Yeah.
So when we met, there was no light.
There must have been
you.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting where it's like
how you didn't see it? You should have seen a glimpse of something.
Isn't it interesting that it's like that it's completely dark and black? So it's like the dark signs were probably there, but it was so black he couldn't see it. But he's like, but it's like, no, man, there was something in the dark, and there's something really terrifying about that, like a boogeyman, Like
it's weird on, almost how you can take this in several different ways. But I took that in a very big red flag in the fact of there was no good in you. I didn't even see one little spark. It was pitch black where I'm from.
Yeah.
Because I'm maybe like broken as well in a sense. Like I'm already in this dark place.
God knows who was before sleep.
Sure.
Or who was before Eden. Yeah.
Right. And it's just like that. Yeah. That's where you it's almost like you choose to ignore the signs. You are blatantly ignoring these.
Yeah.
But you're right. This is one of my top favorites.
Well, I think that this one is, I love it when melody grips you, because I mean, not that we haven't enjoyed every single Sleep Token song we've listened to, because I think that we've had our place with all of them in our therapy somewhere.
Yeah.
This one, just like there are times that it just cannot let go of me, dude. Like it's the layering of the vocals, which is something that we love it. We love it so much. Like we just cheese over it. It's something that like, when it's done correctly, we can't help but admire it. And Vessel is he's elite at it every time. But with that layering is that there's two aspects to the chorus. And it's like, the one section is that with this duality is give me back my life.
Yes.
Like I succumb to this again. Like I opened myself, I allowed myself to love, to think that I could have this again. And this is what I get. And so one side of it is him saying, give me back my life. And the other side of it is saying, I can't quit.
Yes.
I'm stuck again. And I think that this is what made that listen through of all their stuff such a weight to carry, because when you understand where it's like, buddy, like this is the 14th time and we're only in the EPs.
Yeah.
Like, right. It's like that type of thing where it's like, buddy, like, how can you not understand? But the sad part is that I get it. Isn't it interesting to be on the outside of it?
Yep.
And it's one of those where you're like, oh my God, like, no, it's like I looked like a fucking idiot
the whole
time. And it's
the whole time.
And that's what narcissists and manipulative people do, man. It's just, it's sad. Like it is. And it's just, I mean, this one is very, very straightforward. I mean, there's like the different like things that happen, like in the verses, if you saw the marks on my dashboard, the new scars I didn't ask for, There's a lot of symbolism with the car crash. The gentleman that replied to us on the video, he talked about the car crash as well. So it's pretty cool to see that. But this one, you can kind of like take different lines and chew on them for a while.
Right.
And that's why I like it, because I think it's just one of those that I've clicked loop on YouTube and just let it play while I'm working.
Oh yeah.
It's a fantastic song, dude. It's a 10 out of 10.
I think with Dark Signs, it's not only very much relatable for a lot of people, but I also think that there is a but there is a really good possibility that some of this is, and what I mean, real life events, like you said, like a car accident or something.
Yeah.
I think that what happens in some of this later lyrics and albums, it is intertwined with things like that. And I don't mean because the other stuff's fake, but like real life events, like specific things that have happened.
Right. Yeah.
Compared to like, not that he's making up the lore, but like with the story though. So I think that there is, because I think everything is real, but I think that there are things like that are almost like I said, coded almost. And it's like, fuck, yeah, were they in an accident, or was this, or like, was there a miscarriage, or was there like, there are things that like I truly wonder, or it could just be how he's writing, and it go through. So again, guys, you're going to hear us say that a lot, but
well, I think that especially like the marks on my dashboard, I think that that's a very fair thing to say, that it's like, no, like clearly something happened in a vehicle, and it's like whether or not it's, because I think I compared it last time to like Smile 2, but I also kind of compared it to I Just Want to Know by NF, where it's like that's an argument that happened in a car, that the car rolled, and it's like he was fine and she was incapacitated, and it's just, I think that's something that's really difficult, is that like we've all had different instances of this whenever we've been with a significant other, where it's like the moment that you push back too hard, whether it is physically or verbally or emotionally. And it's that fact of that, it's like when you have that, again, that weird, like that post-nut clarity, or that, after the fact where everything dawns on you of what's happened, that you're like, I don't want to be this. I don't want to be there. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not this type of person. I'm not this. Like, narcissists just bring out the worst in you. Yeah. And it's I think that's where a lot of people think that they're like, nah, man, this is who I am. And it's like, nah, man, that's the person that was around you, man.
Exactly.
You're like, you ain't got to deal with that shit. You don't have to die to that, and it's just.
Isn't also interesting the fact of how it's would you call asking for answers, tear my arms off, and then it's most days you reach for safety. I've already torn my arms off.
Yeah.
It goes back into that narcissism thing almost, where it's the fact of, I did this for you, but you still get to keep all your limbs, and you get to reach for what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting here like legit armless, looking stupid, like you were saying. Like how are you not seeing this?
It isn't interesting that Missing Limbs is the last track off of Tomb.
Right.
Yeah, Rip My Arms Off, and especially with the EPs and stuff, with him saying that he found was trying to still find the pieces of himself. Like, I mean, who knows if those things are connected? But damn, dude, like it's just good. Like, Dark Signs is a song that I don't think I will ever get sick of. But weirdly enough, Higher, this is a song that I kind of forgot about after we had reacted to it.
Same.
And when I came back to it, it was actually because of Luke.
Okay.
When I'm like, what, like, office, like, well, which one do you listen to the most? He's like, oh, dude, Sundowning. He's like, that's my album. I was like, oh, really? I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, all right, well, I'm like, which one do you like? What do you find yourself going back to? And he's like, Higher. And I went, Give. So it was like that type of thing.
Right.
But I came back to it that night, and I'm like, this is just a damn good song. Like, it's like, take away the symbolism, take away the story. Like, Higher is just. It sets a tone, it sets a mood where it's like, it's very big and open. Even the guitars have a lot of delay. Like, it's very breathy in a lot of ways, but it's also punchy in others. And this one, I tried to, when we were listening through, is that if there was a word I didn't recognize, I wanted to make sure I knew the definition of it to help us out. And you say you won't begin again, capitulate, which basically that means to surrender.
Yep.
And let me in, 'cause I'm a fire. And you are dry as bone. And what I think is interesting about that line, like, we can go through all that if you want to, but mainly what I wanted to touch on was, 'cause I am a fire and you are dry as bone. It's the fact of, I would fucking destroy you. Like I have I have all the ingredients to be able to stop you. I have everything I need. I'm a fire and you are dry as bone. I could burn you to the ground. And it's the fact that, in my opinion, he has the gun. It's loaded. He can't take it out of his hip. Either that or he doesn't even know where his gun is. And it's that's something that always, like, the melody and the vocals always would, like, just like capture me on that. But like, isn't that interesting? Where he's like, no, I am a fire. That part has always just stood out to me major,
Yeah, and I mean, same, but now, I mean, yeah, now that I'm kind of, that makes a lot of sense as well. I was taking this almost in the fact of saying, the whole like fire and dry as a bone, and this whole like beginning with the whole, and then I know, and we instigate, go back and forth and lacerate, all that. Like, I feel like this is her saying it's over.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I'm dry as a bone and you're a fire. You got to stay away from me.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be around that.
Sure.
You know. So I was almost taking it in that way where this is now her belittling him. Mm-hmm. This is the whole, and the back and forth and the cutting and making it hurt, and you're killing me slowly. Like, this is the fights that happens. You're a bitch, or like whatever. Like, that's what's happening, in my opinion. This is that something stupid happened.
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah,
something dumb happened, and here we are.
Yeah,
and now, of course, I'm on fire, like I'm pissed or whatever it is. But you're giving this excuse where, like, or it could even be one of those. We have to talk about this later.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, now when I'm mad, okay, all right.
Only when I've calmed down and I've let my guard down, are you ready to talk about this and rip my soul from my body?
Exactly.
Right? Well, it's especially too is that with this, only when, as he says, because you can remember only when you're alone, I am granting you more than the debt that I owe, and having that be one of the bigger, like, build parts of the debt that I owe, like getting into that breakdown, that's a big point of contention that's going on here. And like, for me, like, it really gave me almost kind of like Abraham vibes from the Old Testament, where it's like when God tells him to sacrifice his own son on the altar, and he has that moment of like, he's like, have I not shown you enough faith? Like, have I not done enough? Like, it's like, why are you making me do this? And it's like, like, I know for a fact where I'm at. I've given you way more than I fucking owe you, and it's I mean, everything in this song, from like, they want different things. Like, she knows what he's doing the entire time, but doesn't give a fuck. Like, she knows that he's hurting. Like, the interesting thing is that it's the whole point of the song, Higher, is that what is that it takes us a little higher, is that they love to fight.
Correct.
It's something that they can't help but do. And that is something that I think is one of the worst places that you can be in a relationship, is that when you fight so normally that your friends are like, yeah, they're just like, give them a minute, they'll be fine. It's they'll fuck later or something. Like, it's like, no, that's terrible.
It is.
That is terrible.
And I think what normally happens is people like Vessel have this. See, it's not that they both thrive on it. It's the one person thrives on it and the other person adapts.
They have to survive
because they think they're in love.
Yeah.
They think that this is love, and, or whatever it is, and that this is their life. So I feel like a lot of times one-sided in the feeding off of that. I had that many times in my life where, and it was like, I don't do that now because I don't. That's not what I enjoy.
No.
But in a sense, I don't want to say I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it because I stayed for 10 years, and I think that's where this is what's super irritating about stuff like this, is that I feel for the guy again, in the fact that, like, he doesn't like this, but he's trying to endure here. And it's just a cycle, like we said before, like, it's constant.
Well, and it's especially the one thing that I definitely wanted to bring up with this as well too is the line when he says, "And you're a long way from home. You are one among many, but you're now on your own." That is such
He's
a
mad.
that is such a vague statement that to me makes me think, like, 'cause I think I said this in the reaction where it's like, is she just one species of God? Like, or is sleep in general, like, there's like, like like a bunch of like levels of deities where it's like, no, you are one among many, but you're now on your own. Like, you have fallen, you've gone away from the place, ironically, fall for me. But it's like, that
Right.
it's just that's something that always, like, for me, that's what made Sleep Token's music drop into the next gear for me, where I went, whoa, that's deliberate. Like, that's not saying you're a human. That's not saying this. Like, no, you are one among many, and you are now on your own. Like, it's like you're not home anymore. Like, it's like you're
a long way from home. Right.
It's just, dude, there's something poetic about how it sounds, but like, just with everything, dude, like, Higher is just, it's one of those that, like, I like it, but also I know that it's like, damn, dude, like, there are people that love living like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think that to piggyback off of what you were saying too, like when you said like you enjoyed fighting, or like you had to like that, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Adapt.
Adapt. Yeah. There's almost that kind of moment where it's like, no, man, I won tonight.
Yep.
And it's like,
Keep score.
It's just, it's that thing of like, no, it's so fucking petty. It's like, it's just, in that is with the person that you are supposed to love.
Correct.
Like,
but
fuck that,
but you've taken that mentality, because I think that verse you were talking about, I feel like it's that she knows he's good for him or for her, but he's mad.
Yeah.
Like, he's mad now.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's almost this like scoreboard, even though he doesn't want the scoreboard. But like you said, it's when I won.
Yeah.
I got one in, and it feels good.
Well,
it shouldn't feel good.
Wasn't that thing where it's like, wow, this is how you feel all the time? Damn right, I want to feel like this too. That means you get to fucking suffer.
Yep.
Like, it's
So you're right, exactly. There's that side too.
And this is the interesting thing, is that when we get into Take Aim, I think that it's like almost like Higher Part 2 in a way, where it's like we're moving on to the kind of the theory that I think that, I can't remember if it was both of us or just me, but it's kind of the idea of is this sleep? Is sleep saying these things?
Yeah.
Like, like, go ahead, fire away. Take aim. Come at me, bro.
Come at me,
type
bro.
of thing. But the weird thing is that the song is so beautiful and sounds like a worship song. So like, it's just, again, this cycle, and especially it's like wait, won't you wait for me? Don't you bathe in rivers? Don't you feel alive? Where it's kind of like, no, it's like, haven't you enjoyed everything I've given you? I've given you the world.
Yep.
I've given you, it's like bathe in these rivers. They're clean enough for you to enjoy. It's like, I have no doubt she takes care of things.
Yeah.
I have no doubt she does.
He knows. It's his, what I put to one of the only notes was he knows that she'll hurt him again, but he doesn't care. Like, he's back to this cycle.
Yeah.
So like it's he's back to loving her, because you want, in a sense, probably like almost like you won.
Mm-hmm.
Things are good. She's not fighting with you, and you're like, oh, are things good now?
Yeah.
Oh wait, things changed. No.
Yeah.
No. That's not how that works.
Well, especially with this, is that it's, if this is her talking, and how she says, and when I see you waking up and it sends me shivers, how you love like weapons kill.
Yes.
To me, I always felt that was kind of like a jab, where it's like just one of those like quick little things where it's like, no, you're fine. Just remember this one thing.
Yeah.
It's like, remember, you love like weapons kill. It's just like, it's like, you have a great love, but you should really kind of fix this one part about it. I really don't. Yeah, that thing, I'm sorry, I really don't like that. Yeah, kind of like that. Steven came over. I don't want him to come over anymore. It's like that kind of like stupid thing.
Right.
But the whole take aim is that, like, in my opinion, looking at it, was that it was like, hit me so we're fair. It's like the whole take aim, like that was another element where I'm like, maybe that's cohesive with her, that's a thought all on its own, but it's that whole thing of like, no, now we're even. It's everything's fine. We've done damage to each other. It's like, let's move on and let me just do what I want. And it's because, I mean, that's all this is that it's anything she can do to bring him back in the cycle again.
Right.
That's
right.
With this is that the song is full of guilting. It's full of her faking desire. Like, it's just, make me yearn for your embrace. It's like, no, like, first off, I have to make you yearn for me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
It's like, no way, dude. It's just, this is.
How can I love you
bad.
so effortlessly and do this? And you don't even, you don't even have the power to even fake it for me, you know, like to even try to hide it half the time.
Yeah. And it's, in my opinion, I think that where we end up with it is that she leaves.
Yep.
It's just that the fact that, and you know, I'll be yours. I just want it to be worth it. So I'll run like the wind till you follow me again. It's like, no, it's like time's not ready. It's not now. It's not this. It's not that. It's just like, no, the time will be right. You know, and it's like no, the time is now. You're here. Like we're fleshing this out.
Yeah.
The wounds are already open, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, we might as well heal them. You know, it's like I don't want to bleed anymore. You know, just this one it's so strange. Like it's just with Vessel's high register, like how he does everything with this. Like this is one of the more beautiful songs, and especially like how it builds and turns into what it does with the just the way that two like is hitting from like toms to bass drum. Like, dude, this one is it's powerful.
It is.
It is very powerful, and that's the thing is that it's like keeping the song itself in mind because the lyrics are only one part of the story that he's telling, and I think that this one is very like there's a lot of layers to it and like how it can affect and how it can feel. You know, it's
sure.
It's just awesome.
For sure, man. And again, like how we lead into every song or lead out or, you know, outro or anything like that. It's very interesting because like we talked earlier is that the sounds and even how he says certain words are for a reason.
Yeah.
Like it's for a reason. So
There ain't no accidents.
right. And then going right back right into Give is again, I keep saying it, but like starting off with lyrics like that, I saw it too.
Yeah. Tech was being stupid for a second, but we should be good.
I did have on here listen again. I don't think I actually got to go back and listen to it again.
Oh, to give or take aim.
Give.
Okay, yeah.
But I do know that the fact of you take the dark and carve me out a home.
I love, dude. This song is so beautiful. I love, but it's also, yeah.
Bro, that is so wild to be like. It's almost like you make the dark look like home and very inviting.
Yeah.
That's scary, man.
Well, here's my question: is that do you think? Because I can't remember if we agreed on this or not, but do you think this is sleep talking or do you think this is Vessel talking?
Well, I think at the beginning it is still. I think at the beginning it is Vessel, and I forget where because I didn't put that on here, but I think it is sleep, and then when we get down to if you want to give, then give me the.
That's right.
Yeah,
the perspective. That's right.
The perspective change. Yeah, I think this is now Vessel talking. But
yeah,
I think at the very beginning, right there, that first line is maybe him. Like I think that's him saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like the fact of still saying out loud that like you know that this is bad for you, but you make it so comfortable.
Yeah,
because again, you take the dark and carve me out a home. Well, you shouldn't take the dark and make it a home.
Well, on top of that too is that wouldn't you want a house that's built with pillows and soft places that's
and
like
light yeah,
dude, it is just nothing but completely uncomfortable and just. I mean, if that is not symbolism for what life felt like for both of us, dude, like it's. And he finishes it off with when he says he's like, I know how we got here. Like it's that to me, it's almost like that 5-finger death punch thing of like, no, man, I remember everything. Like you may not remember everything, but I remember everything. And it's weird because again, it's that she's in the home that he made, or he's in the home that she made, however you want to look at. But either way, this is a place of worship. This is a place of where you hope to feel love, where you want something good to happen. And
right. But I mean, but like, just even take this, because this is where I feel like it is sleep. Because if you want to give, then give me all that you can give,
all your darkest impulses.
See, and even with the dark, like even with that darkest impulses, I still think that is. It's almost like the trick of, see, I care for you. I want to know all of your dark secrets and stuff, but also maybe to use it as ammo later.
Yeah.
As men, look, I'm not gonna, and this is not all women, so guys, please don't, but like, I know that over the years that I have shut down and I don't talk about things, I don't do anything, and I don't engage with things like that with like my significant other or things like that. And it is because of things like that where it's like they want you to trust them because you let your guard down and say things, but then they use that against you in the future to tear you down. You almost, as guys, a lot of times in their late 30s to 40s, I feel like we don't talk like that anymore. We don't allow anybody other than maybe a friend or two, but it's because you've tricked us for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, not every female, guys, but I think with situations like this.
Yes. Yeah. I think that it's honestly, it's just the fact of like I've had a very, I'm trying to think about the right way to say this and also be vague enough, but you and I are very aware of a person that's been in my life since I was a kid, that they will use anything against you.
Yep.
Any possible thing. And that was something that from like a young age that I should have learned from, that it was like, nah, man, like don't tell everybody your business. Don't talk about these certain things. And like, I found that life improved so much more when I stopped talking about everything and I just did.
Yep.
And I think that especially too is that like that anxiety that you have, as like when you've, talked to somebody very deeply and then, the next day at work or whatever, you're like, oh my God, like I shouldn't have said that. They're going to tell that person I said this, or like this, like different thing, like whether it's malicious or if it was venting or whatever, like that's like sleep has got all the control here.
Yes.
It's like that is, I think that's right. The main point of this is that it's like, and to me, I think it's also interesting where we get into the second verse of, I'll tear the fiber from the filament. I'll be the limit of your light again. I want to taste you better. I want to taste you better. Now, is that biting? Is that, not to be this way, but like, is that a symbolism for oral sex? Like, is it like,
sure.
Who knows what it is? Like, we know that she's enticing. We know that she's doing anything she can to keep him, but it's also her being very self-aware of like, I'll tear the fiber from the filament. I'll like, it's kind of the thing of like, I'll cause disorder. I'm like, I'll be the limit of your light again. It doesn't matter. I want to taste you again. And it's interesting, especially too, I'll be watching for your enemies to let them know that they contend with me. I want to know you're out there. Like it's her being like saying like, I'll protect you, but you got to show yourself.
Yes.
You got to come to me this time.
Exactly.
I'm not coming to you.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. Like, I feel like it's that trick of almost also in the sense of like, the, what do you call it? Like false, like just like trusting somebody in a sense.
Yeah. It's false safety. Yeah.
False safety. Yeah. Something like that.
Your safety net wasn't even connected to anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that, give is it's also in the name, but I think it's him doing and her expecting a lot. And that he is supposed to give her the world. He's supposed to do all of these things. He's the man, right?
Well, I think that in like the proper like situation and things where it's like, no, man, like, I mean, I think that can be a very healthy thing. That can be like, no, I want to give you every possible thing that I can give you. Like
correct.
It's like the parent, like, I mean, it's not the same love, but it's like, when you look at somebody like, that has been through so much trauma as a kid and, and everything, and like say that they hit it big or they do different things where it's like, no, man, you are going to have the nice things. You are going to have this or that. Like, you're going to have a safe place to sleep every night, because I didn't get that when I was a kid. I lived on, a new couch every single week or something. Like,
right.
And I think that there's something that's really, really amazing about that, but it's not good. He's in the situation of like, okay, like I'm coming to you, I guess. Cause I'm like, I just want to give you everything. So I'll be like, here I am. And oh gods.
I actually, I said, listen again, but this wasn't to like not have anything, but I remember we were talking while listening to this and I just put, Kyle's chat, which basically like, I think I was pretty much like, I agreed with what you were saying. So I think we were just going to kind of bounce off of that. But even again, the beginning, I see the gods avert their gaze from me.
Yeah. And this is the first time we get an F-bomb. My fucking form is but a wreck beneath them. Yeah.
And again, when it comes to swearing with Vessel, it's very much it's there when it needs to be. He doesn't overuse any swear words, but isn't it interesting that, that he says fuck twice. It's the only swearing that he does like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason there's a difference. I think we said this before, where you go, put the table down. Can you put the table down? Put the fucking table down.
Right. Yeah.
There's something behind cuss words when it's used as almost like punctuation.
Yes. Yeah. It's I think it was what did Billy Connolly say? He's like, I use them as like punctuation, like a staccato. Fuckity, fuck.
Yeah. Right. But no, I think that's where something like this comes into play, where it is, for lack of a better term, he's not fucking about here.
Mm-hmm.
This is super serious right now.
See, right now, what I've got is that that this is actually sleep, but I can't remember why I made this note, but it was but that this is not for Vessel. This is like, I think it was more so kind of like, this is just her like venting out everything,
right?
And it's
that's what I meant by with the swearing and the fact of it. It's there for a reason, because it needs that emotion. Needs to come out with something. And I think that sometimes swearing, unfortunately, is part of that.
Well, it's getting into like the meaning of that and everything is that with the gods averting their gaze from me, is that it's like, it's almost like with being like a wrecked like form, beneath them. It's kind of like, nah, man, was he pretty successful in Take Aim? Yeah. Like, it's like did he do some irreparable damage to sleep? Where it's like, now it's like the gods won't even look at you. It's almost like being the freak that's disfigured now. And this is like, it's, I kind of almost look at this like from the perspective of a villain, where it's kind of like, for my next plan, Mr. Bond, it's like, no, there's no explaining anymore. I'm not taking any more chances. No more teeth to bite with, no more smiling faces. I'm alone again. Yep. Like, it's like, I've learned from my mistakes. I'm like, he's never going to lose control, or I'm never going to lose control of him ever again. And that's terrifying. And especially with how ferocious this song is, and especially, again, if this is sleep, how much that they're seething at the end. Like, that's because there's only like a couple of times we've heard very emotional things, which we're gonna get to with Bloodsport. But it's like, again, there's no mistakes. There's no question about it. Like whoever is singing this song, like, it's when the song is done, they're still not done getting all their emotion out.
Right.
That is. It's nuts, but again, it's all so easy for me.
I was just about to,
yeah.
So, and like that's the thing is that it's almost like that. It's all, like I said, also easy for me in the fact of she knows, or it knows that that he is, I think, stuck in the loop. And like you said, all right, if you were successful, not again. I'll make sure that doesn't happen first of all, and that this is still easy for me no matter what. I can be wounded. Doesn't mean you didn't get my good hand. Yeah. So
it hurt.
Right.
Yeah, but it didn't take away my ability to be able to fuck you up if
it's
I
almost one of those like that joke where I always say, like, I'll give you one free hit, you better knock me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because if I get up, I'm gonna be pissed.
So this is where we enter into an interesting part of the album, because Sugar. We've said it before in the first podcast, but it was the idea of like, look, we can look at these things chronologically, and I think that there are some songs that do follow that. I think that that's very fair, but ultimately the albums are an idea. They're a bigger picture thing. It's like the Kevin Feige thing I've talked to death, where it's like, no, man, look at the bigger picture of everything of what's going on. And I think that this one is here as either as like truly like a chronological thing that is happening, of that. It's like, all right, what do you do after you fight? You fuck. It's like you fuck the pain away, like that type of thing. And it's like, all right, so with Sugar is that he's just like, no, man, it's like, you're still so sweet. I can't get enough of you.
Right.
This song is, in my opinion,
he's addicted.
It's very, very straightforward. It's just like,
it is.
Like, I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but there was somebody that reacted to it that had never heard it, and she was like, this is something that should be playing in the strip clubs in GTA 5. Like, it's like, and she's right, because it's just like, damn, dude, like there is a seduction in this song that is not present really much in any other thing, like any other songs, in my opinion. Like, this is the most deliberate sexual thing I think that is in his music, like, so far. But again, unless there's one I've forgotten about.
Yeah, I could say that's pretty true. I think that with adding to the fact of this is pretty straightforward, but before we do move on, that that he's clearly addicted. But I think down here it took me a few times listening. This is actually one of Chandler's favorite songs. I think she likes to like
dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun.
like
It's
harps or whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like a music box.
Yeah. And I think that where he starts out here, do you want to see how far it goes? Do you want to test me now, my love? I think that's sleep talking.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
It's one of those like because the fact of, do you think I'm going to, that I will give in so easily and that I will give up the game?
Mm-hmm.
She ain't letting you win again.
Yeah.
We just kind of talked about that. Like,
you
all right,
just got a hit.
You got a hit. You didn't get my trigger finger, but you like, yeah. And I think that it goes in with the fact of the song being knowing that he's addicted. She can say this stuff right now. It's in the middle of lust.
Yeah.
I've said that before, that whole like lust trumps logic.
Mm-hmm.
You're not thinking logically here.
Yeah.
That they're literally giving you the words to hear that you should walk away, and you're not doing it.
But because you're inside somebody, you can't think straight.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
in the sense of that. That's why I've said before that, not to be funny or in a weird way, but like sleeping with somebody. Have we all had our one night stands for the most part? Yes, but like having sex with somebody is that I am inside of you. It's the closest I can be with you as a person.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't just give that away.
No, and that's
what's happening right now, I think, is that she does, he doesn't, and she knows that and can basically, your brain's mush.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just that there's a very numbing aspect to this song as far as like even the notes that are being used and how it's like, how it's going down. Like, and it's especially too when you watch the visualizer for it, which that's the other thing too that I wanted to touch on just very briefly was that every single song that you watch on YouTube that are just like the song itself is that like each one is so inspired. And I love that this one is that like it's suggestive, but it's more so like close-ups of very like, almost like blue piercing eyes or like that's like lips and different things where it's like, you know what? He knows how to ride that fine line where it's like your 5-year-old can watch this and listen to it. But if you understand it, you know what more is there, like,
right.
So, but I mean, we all listened to Semi-Charmed Life when we were kids. And we know what it was about. But, so moving on to Say That You Will, this is one again that I don't have a lot of like connection with it because it's one of those that like I kind of taper off after Sugar until I get to Bloodsport when I listen to Sundowning. But there have been times that I've been listening to it and I'm like, oh, that's right. This is a good part. Where it's that type of thing where it's like when I come back to it, I'm like, no, that is pretty fucking good. But as far as your end of things, like what was kind of like your take on it? Like what were your notes that you had on it?
Well, so it was basically the beginning verse and like opening again, but it was, I took most of that at the beginning here is I love you real? Or is it to just keep me around?
Yeah.
Like basically in the sense of like, do you truly mean these things? Or is this just to keep me as your plaything for when you're bored and people are busy or whatever it is?
Yeah.
But I think that here where he says, and I know you're planning to leave in the end, like he still knows it will end.
Yeah. But just lie to me.
It's lie to me almost in a sense. Like it almost flips it to that point where it's like, just say you love me.
Yeah.
Will you just say it? But it's the fact of, is it real or is it not?
Yeah.
Because here's the fucked up thing is that to a point, like I know that most you could say that no, but like it's not to say that a narcissist can't truly love somebody in their mind, in their way. But like, I still just think it's the fact of I know you're lying, dude. So just say it. But yeah.
Well, especially
that's what I took from at least that opener.
Well, I think that, the whole is that a glint in your eye? Is that a blade in your palm? Well, I'm yours tonight, so will you lay in my arms? And that this line that continues over and over again at the end is "You've got me up in a frenzy again."
Yep.
And it's like when you think about it, it's like you're frantic, like you can't like
Exactly.
you're spinning your plates, like it's like just keep your plates spinning, man. Otherwise, they're all gonna come crashing down. Like just keep them spinning. It's you can do it. You're fine. And it's like, God, like dude, I don't fucking miss that, dude. Like I don't miss living like that. And that's something that like when we dive into these lyrics and when we look at these things, where it's just like, how fucked is it that we're okay with having a lie? That we're okay with being with like with somebody that like would
You've adapted.
It's just
you've adapted, and that's because that's where it does come into play right here. Where he says, "Won't you say that you will, even if you won't?" Like again, just lie to me, please. That'll make it okay for me enough to endure this pain, this torture, because I'm getting what I want. It's almost like I'm getting what I want and you get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So we both win.
Yeah.
You get to belittle me and torture me and do all these narcissistic things, and I still get to have you.
Yeah.
But you'll let me win. You'll give in a few, it's time to time and all this. Like you will, like to keep me around. It's not really because you enjoy it or truly love me.
Yeah.
But it's, so I think that, say that you will it's just that whole yearning for that, and still just, even if you have to lie to me, just do it. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was taking away from it.
Yeah. That is very, very straightforward. And again, as we approach the end of this album, because it's kind of like, when you've listened to Bloodsport, what's coming. It's kind of like knowing that the Titanic is going to sink. It's like you know, yeah, right. So like, thank God for Uncle Rex.
Yeah.
But no, it's that thing of like, okay, like we know how heavy emotionally that song is. So like, where are we at right before we lead into the end? Like it's like where are we going to be? And we have Drag Me Under.
Yep. She gave in and she said it. She gave in and she lied to him.
This is, I think, what makes Bloodsport so devastating, is that he gets it, and it's with this is that it's like, just drag me under deep in your love. It's that, like, in my opinion, I think this is almost kind of like a precursor even to Tomb, because we have this symbolism, but also on every single visualizer of that, the depth gets more and more and more and more. So yeah, Drag Me Under again. The way I think that this is like the true introduction, or the first introduction of the ocean and the waves. Of like, this is almost kind of like that.
You might be right.
Almost kind of like how it's like Tomb and Sundowning kind of have this crossfade at the end, where it's kind of like, all right, well, it's like we're done here, but here we go, and it's like, in my opinion, again, that maybe that was not intentional. Maybe maybe he didn't have Tomb in the foresight or whatever.
Wasn't intentional.
Yeah, right. But it's like, but it's. I think that is, as a song on its own, though, is that it's interesting to see this where it says, "And I know the angels tonight are lost for words, as I am merely to behold you as we lie down together."
Mm-hmm.
Heaven is dumbfounded. Like it's like they're just like, wait, whoa, what the hell? Like they're back together?
Yeah.
It's that like, oh yeah, me and her worked it out. It's like, that's great.
It's like Ross and Rachel. Like we were on a break.
God,
but
I fucking hate that shit. Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. Where it is almost one of those like, here we go.
Yeah.
Almost in a sense with that. And what's weird is Drag Me Under is not a lot of lyrics.
No, it's very much setting a mood.
And it borderline repeats.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like the hook, if you will, but it's, so even at that, like, it's not a lot of lyrics. This is more of that. I feel like you were saying that sound and vibe. It's almost like how lo-fi music is just to put you in that mood. I think what's happening here is it's just like you said, that like being submerged. And it's just, you just kind of are taking it in slowly, if you will, but because it's leading into Bloodsport on basically. And I didn't even highlight nothing. He's exhausted.
This is
because you're dragging under, and you're like watching you're watching the top just go faster and faster, and you can't touch it.
Yeah.
And you've probably been swimming, moving your arms, and now blood sport, you're just tired. Boxers get tired, fighters get tired, man. And the stamina is only so much. And you work and work and work on that stamina, and that's what it is, the back and forth, but it doesn't matter. Eventually, loving you is a blood sport. Like, and I can't win. Like, dude, those lines.
I hate that.
Those lines right there is, again, I've made loving you he's knowingly knowing. And the fact of, and I can't win. It's several angles of that, and the fact of I can't win, and like I can't win. It's like those, it's how you say it and how it's like you won't admit, and even at that, no matter what I do, it's still not good enough.
See, this is where I think that we're getting more of dark signs here of the fact of like he wants his old life back, of that I want to roll the numbers, I want to feel my stars align again. Like, dude, there have been so many times in my life, you know, when I was deep in with a narcissist, or I was deep in with somebody who was severely manipulative, or different things. Like, I remember having moments to myself of like, you know, sitting in the basement and, you know, just on my second or third, you know, 8% tall boy, and just thinking to myself, I'm going to die like this.
Yeah.
Like it's that Dr. House thing of like tomorrow I'll be dead. Like it's I will die. This is how I will die. Like it's that, you know, realization thing of just like,
this is my life.
Is this really what I was born for? Is this really what I was like, what I chose? Because it's like, because I think that like some people are like, no, this is like what God gave me. It's like, no, God didn't tell you to fuck somebody. God didn't tell you to date somebody. God didn't. It's like, no, like we make our own decisions and make our own, you know, make our own choices. But in the same hand, like it's the mixture of everything, dude. Like it's so rough. And when you feel like you can't win, and when you can't do anything, is that it's just, it's like it hones everything in, where it's like no, I mean, it's like, you know, you say it doesn't matter, okay, doesn't matter. It's like you do whatever you want. And I have the line, or the thing that I like kind of summed everything up, was that it's Vessel saying this, is that I couldn't let you go. I couldn't let you go. I couldn't do the right thing for myself. I couldn't show up for myself. I couldn't, you know, it's like, it's just, and the other thing too is that like, it's like, we have no idea the people that are in Vessel's life, you know, like that, you know, either we're trying to tell him to get out of this, or that, you know, because again, like mystical, cool, religious themes, thing, like all that, like to me, like I think this is from a very real place.
Oh yeah.
And it's, you know, whether or not Eden, or however you want to look at it, is that it's like being so defeated and just so lost. Like it's that thing of like, God, like Bloodsport is something that like I find myself listening to the studio version more, because it's like, nah, man, I hate to say it this way, but it's like I need to hear Vessel cry at the end.
Oh, okay.
Because now, while I will say the Room Below version is better as far as like having it be stripped down, there's just something magnificent about the composition of this song, and like the piano work that's being done in it, and how the choir is behind him, and when the piano piece is doing what it's doing, and you just hear him finally, he breaks down after everything.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is only part 1 of 3.
Yeah. And
dude,
I think with that being said, is that not that people can't get into their own music and lore and things that maybe they make up, but I think the fact that he still cries at like almost, I assume every night that he performs and stuff, but even on situations like that this is real life events that happen to him. It is, it hits too close to home. Because, and that's what I'm saying, like Vessel does something, man, like he just to people, for people like that. And I think that there is something almost like a superpower that somebody like that can have to be able to write lyrics or poetry or something of that nature to affect hundreds of thousands and millions of people, man.
Dude, they've taken over the world, man.
They
Like,
really
it's
have.
Like they needed to.
They needed to, and I think that it is for a good reason, because he's good at what he does, and he's damn good at what he does. And if you choose not to listen to that, that's on you. But
It's okay to be wrong.
it's okay, right?
Yeah.
But I think that Vessel and Sleep Token in general, they give a lot of closure and healing to people, I think, in an odd way.
Yeah.
Like, it's sorry that you had to go through this shit, and I don't mean to, but like, so did I.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and it's like you almost have this like closure with this that you have either done yourself in the cycles and the things, like you like you said, you see it now. We're yelling at him through our speakers, dude. Fucking stop.
Yeah. Like, buddy, just let it go.
Let it go.
Like, it's like, you don't have to do this, man.
Because we see it now, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's still balls deep in this, man. He is complete. Like, but again, like, it doesn't matter. Just because he's exhausted doesn't mean he ain't gonna do this 13 more times.
Well, this is where when you have an ending like this, like, it's something that, in my opinion, I think that this is an album that, like, for those that truly get into it and truly want to understand, and not everybody's going to do a deep dive like we do, and I get it, but Sundowning, in my opinion, is that it's one of the better parts of their music. But again, it's like, it's almost kind of like trying to compare, like, who's your favorite child. Like, it's like it's so hard, you know, but Sundowning is so special because I think that it introduces a lot of elements to things where it's kind of like, all right, like 1 and 2, you know, it's like those EPs and the singles where it's like they were not lacking in any way, but Sundowning is very much where he found his way.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, you know, like when we go into ending, you know, with Bloodsport, is that it follows kind of a cohesive thing. Is that, think about it, Tomb starts with Atlantic and ends with Missing Limbs. Where it's like Atlantic is very big and epic, but Missing Limbs is him and a guitar and some piano. Like, there's a theme that starts happening here where it's almost kind of like the last song on the records until we get to Eden, where it's kind of like him having to stop and take a step back and just simplify for a little bit, you know, and it's just kind of like, oh my God, like, it's just, there's so much about this album that I love, that I've grown to just revere, and, you know, just in things that, like, will pop in my mind, like, you know, certain lyrics or different things. But damn, dude, like, it's wild to think that we are alive at the same time as this man. That we get to have these conversations, and that you guys get to be here with us the entire time and listen to us, you know, yodel through everything, you know. But I want to know, do you have any more thoughts on it at all, or anything that's on your mind?
Not for tonight's episode, but just in the fact of, you know, we are going to obviously get into the other albums and see what else we are going to repeat or whatever. But this has been a lot of fun. And with that whole repeating and things like that, and kind of, you know, broken record. But like I said earlier, let us know what you guys think, and maybe different lore ideas or something that you might have as well, because we're always open to new suggestions or new things, because we don't know everything, man. This is just our take.
Everything that we said could be bullshit.
Right.
Every single thing.
Right. But no, I've got nothing else other than, just like he said earlier, is thank you guys for showing up and being here and just being a part of this community. Yeah,
it's just it's great, man. I am very biased on the next episode because Tomb is my favorite album by them. Eden is great. Do not get me wrong. I think that it's just as impactful. It's just as important, but there's something special about Tomb. And we're going to get into that when that time comes. So, guys, if you've been sticking around for this long in the episode, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate the fuck out of all of you. Thank you so very much. As we said in the beginning of the episode, just in case if anybody was skipping around, is that I do have work things I got to do this month that I'll be traveling out of state.
Deal with it.
So worst case is that if there's another episode that happens before I go and it's not with Eric and I talking, rest assured, we're going to get into the rest of it. It's just that when I come back, then we'll go ahead and finish everything up. And also, too, let us know what you guys want to see. Like, do you guys want us to keep diving into Sleep Token stuff? Do you want to see us talk about other music? I mean, who knows what's going to happen. But rest assured as well, too, I know that we're definitely probably going to take an episode or a section and talk about Emergence, because that'll be the point after Eden, and we'll disclose everything we possibly can. So, but either way, guys, I think Erica spoke his piece, and we got everything that we need for tonight, and we cannot thank you guys enough for being here. We will see you in the next one. Adios.